After 3 miraculous days in the beyond, Jesus reveals the devil's most deadly trap to save souls. Mary's heart raced as she knelt in the ancient chapel, the air infused with a profound sense of God's presence. To many, it was just a crumbling stone structure, lost to time, but tonight it was alive, thrumming with divine energy. She felt a surge of warmth wash over her, a tranquil light resonating in her soul, a beacon of hope amid her despair for her beloved son, Tom. Around her, the flickering candles cast dancing shadows on the walls, whispering tales of miracles witnessed here long ago. As she prayed, the world faded away, and she found herself enveloped in a stillness that felt sacred. Tears streamed down her face, each one a plea for her son, each drop a testament to her faith's endurance. Then, brightly and suddenly, Jesus appeared before her. His robe was dazzling white, glowing with an ethereal light that pierced through her darkness. "Come with me, Mary," he beckoned. The very air vibrated with power as he extended his hand, inviting her on a journey beyond the veil of earthly troubles. With gentle urgency, they stepped into a realm beyond understanding. They walked through clouds that sparkled like diamonds, a dazzling expanse where worries dissipated like fog in the morning sun. "Look closely," Jesus instructed, his voice resonating with a warm, reassuring authority. As he spoke, visions unfolded, troubled souls ensnared by the devil's lies, each entangled in despair and hopelessness. "Here lies the most deadly trap," Jesus continued, guiding her to witness the intoxicating grip of addiction, the illusion that life had no path to redemption. The depths of darkness could only be illuminated by the light of faith, a strength born from communal love and prayer. Mary's spirit soared as insight bloomed within her, igniting a fire of hope in her heart. Suddenly, the scene shifted, and Jesus turned to her with a divine tilt of his head. "This truth must now return with you. The way forward is in connection, in unity. Souls bound in prayer can break free of chains." Mary's heart raced, filled with an uncontainable urge to return to her village, to embrace this revelation and share it. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can, leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mary found herself back in the chapel, breathless but invigorated. She hurried to the village, where the bells of St. Michael's tolled like messages of revival. Her neighbors gathered, intrigued by her passionate call. With each word, her spirit echoed the revelation she had received. The village responded, hearts once burdened began to light with a flicker of belief. As they united in prayer, stories of hope floated through the air. Tom was mentioned, his name now suddenly woven into fabric of faith. Yet, amid the awe where light danced in their eyes, a wave of skepticism crashed over them. Voices rose in protest at St. Michael's, doubting the power of Mary's claims. Confusion thickened the air. Just then, amid the tension, a divine miracle unfolded before their bewildered eyes. Tom stepped through the church door, different somehow, freed from the shadows that had haunted him. The villagers gasped in recognition, a realization dawning as the power of prayer became undeniable. As hope wove through the hearts of the villagers, questions lingered: would they embrace the faith that had delivered them from specters of despair? Would they find the strength to navigate the trials yet to come? The air shimmered with mystery and anticipation, leaving them on the cusp of divine light, anxious for what revelation might visit them next. Mary's heart leapt within her as she gazed at Tom. The radiance of divine grace surrounded him, a living testament to the power of prayer. Tears of joy flowed unbidden as villagers whispered his name, spellbound by the miracle they witnessed. Yet, even now, a flicker of doubt lingered in some hearts. "Tom!" she called, rushing to embrace her son. "You're home. You're free." Tom's face, once shadowed with sorrow, was now illuminated by a warmth that came from the depths of his spirit. Mother, he breathed, scarcely able to believe his own return. What has happened? I was lost as they embraced, the church reverberated with a palpable energy. From the back, a voice cried out, "How can this be true? This is nothing but illusion." The skeptic was a well-known merchant, Harold, his brows knitted in disbelief. The murmurs spread, casting a shadow over the collective joy. Mary turned toward him, instinctively feeling the heat of righteous anger. "Harold," she implored, her voice steady and strong. "Do you not see? Is this not the answer to our prayers? We asked for a miracle, and God has given us Tom back." The crowd shifted uneasily, caught in the tension between faith and doubt. Then, softly, Jesus appeared again, this time within the sacred space of the chapel. His presence calmed the tumult, inviting hearts to open. "Each of you has your burdens," Jesus spoke, his voice like a gentle stream. "Doubt and fear are chains that bind you. You witnessed the light today. Trust it. For where there is faith, there are no shadows." The villagers exchanged glances, uncertainty hanging heavy. But there was something in Jesus' words, they carried a truth that resonated deeply. "Let Tom share his journey." One voice called, emboldened. "If he has returned, he must have a story." The murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Encouraged, Tom stepped forward, his heart racing. "I was lost in the dark," he began, each word laden with experience. "I wandered through shadows that twisted my mind. But in my plight, I felt a pull, a light beckoning me. I was not alone, it was prayers that held me, prayers of love from you all. I could feel your faith binding me," the room breathed in. Tom continued, each sentence lifting spirits. "I saw darkness, yes. But through the haze, I glimpsed you all, and it became my anchor. Your devotion was my lifeline." As he spoke, Mary's heart swelled. In those moments, doubt faded. The collective belief began to surge again, binding the village like a woven tapestry, bringing them closer. Suddenly, Jesus gestured, inviting them all closer. "Let us pray together. Let our united hearts create a fortress of faith against despair. Let us reclaim the authority we hold as believers." They knelt, full of fervor, hearts synchronized in prayer. The chapel filled with the sound of voices, harmonizing in an almost celestial symphony. As they prayed, a warmth enveloped the space, it felt alive, pulsing with promise. Yet, as the prayer reached its crescendo, a shadow flickered at the edges of the room, a reminder that darkness still lurked. After they rose, seeking strength in one another, an unsettling thrum hummed beneath their joy. "While we rejoice, a trial waits for us," Jesus forewarned, his expression solemn. "Hold fast to faith, for the enemy will not rest. This is just the beginning." As the villagers exchanged worried glances, astonished by the weight of his words, Mary felt a deep stirring in her spirit. The journey ahead was uncertain but filled with divine purpose. She could sense their vulnerability, their need for continuous grace. And as they left the chapel, determination firming in their hearts, Mary wondered, what challenges would test their newfound faith? Would they rise stronger together, or would the shadows creep back in? The answers were veiled in mystery, leaving them all eager for God's next revelation. As dawn broke over the village, golden rays of sunlight spilled through the cracks in the chapel's wooden door, illuminating the weary faces of the villagers. They had gathered once more, a mix of anticipation and trepidation hanging heavily in the air. The echoes of Tom's miraculous return still resonated in their hearts, yet the memory of Jesus' warning lingered like a cool breeze, stirring their spirits. Mary stood at the front, her thoughts consumed by the sacred moment they had shared. The warmth of prayer and communal faith had been tangible, but now a sense of urgency gripped her. She could feel the Lord's divine energy coursing through her, urging her to prepare the community for whatever lay ahead. "Friends," she began, raising her voice to cut through the stillness. "We have witnessed a miracle. Today, let us gather in fellowship and strength. Jesus has promised we will face trials, but we shall not be alone in our battles." A gentle murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Faces brightened with hope, yet the weight of concern did not easily fade. It was Harold, the merchant who had questioned Tom's return, who stepped forward again, his brow furrowed deeply. "But what do we do with this warning?" he asked, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and confusion. "What is the enemy, and how can we prepare for something we cannot see?" Mary took a deep breath, striving to embody the peace and courage she had felt within Jesus' presence. "The enemy may come to us in many forms," she replied slowly, letting each word sink in. "Fear, doubt, temptation, they all seek to lead us astray. But we hold the light of God's love in our hearts. We must nourish that light together." Fear began to fade, and with it came a fleeting sense of empowerment. The crowd began to murmur among themselves, thoughts transforming from worry to inquiry. They recognized the strength in unity. "Let us seek clarification from the one who returned Tom to us," someone called out. "He knows the enemy's ways." With their spirits lifting, the villagers joined hands, encircling the altar as Mary led them in prayer again. This was different, a sacred plea for revelation. As they prayed earnestly, a sustained power ignited the air, and Mary felt the familiar warmth enveloping them. She closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment, inviting divine wisdom to flow among them. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The chapel dimmed momentarily, shadows dancing in the corners. Mary's heart raced, her senses heightening as she felt a presence between realms. And then, there was Jesus, radiant and mighty, filling the space with a love that cast out all fear. "Fear not," he said, his voice calming like the still waters. "Understand that the paths ahead are strewn with trials, but your spirits are fortified by faith and wisdom." "What must we do to combat the darkness?" a villager cried out, desperation coating their words. "How can we hold on against such unseen forces?" Jesus smiled gently, a flicker of understanding lighting up his eyes. "In the struggle for souls, the devil employs the deadliest traps: doubt, division, and despair. Guard your hearts against them. For the greatest weapon against the enemy is love." A ripple of revelation washed over the gathering. Unity, love, they were not just words, but heavenly shields against the forces of evil. "Remember this," Jesus continued, his voice growing stronger, "when you stand together, nothing can shatter your resolve. Share your joys and burdens alike. Let the heart of your community weave an unbreakable bond, anchored in grace." As his presence began to fade, a stunned silence enveloped the chapel. Mary opened her eyes, the echo of his words echoing in her heart. There was hope and newfound determination among them, and she could sense the strength growing within. But deep down, a question flickered. If love was their shield, what would the enemy unleash next? What further trials awaited them, and how would they fortify their spirits to handle the coming storm? With clasped hands and earnest hearts, they stood together, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Their journey was just beginning, and the next chapter of divine wisdom awaited revelation. The sun rose higher in the sky, its warm embrace washing over the village as the eager villagers gathered at the chapel once more. The air buzzed with excitement, yet a thread of tension still lingered, binding them together in a shared purpose. They knew the call of love was strong, but the unseen enemy was cunning, waiting to strike at the heart of their newfound hope. Mary stood before them, her spirit aflame with determination. "My dear friends," she spoke, her voice steady and profound, "we felt the presence of Jesus among us, and his wisdom has lit the path ahead. But we must be vigilant. The enemy is not idle. We must understand his schemes to protect our hearts." A collective murmur washed over the crowd, their eyes wide with anticipation. Each villager leaned in close. They were ready to listen. "Jesus told us not to allow doubt and despair to take root," Mary continued, her hands gesturing purposefully. "We know love is our greatest weapon, but what does that look like in our daily lives? How can we stand guard against the traps set before us?" Old Agnes, known for her wisdom that often belied her frail appearance, stepped forward. "Ah, "Dear Mary," she said, her voice thin but strong. "Sometimes, the enemy manifests in the simplest of ways. Small thoughts of comparison, envy, or even complacency can lead us astray. We must work to illuminate each other's paths with encouragement and understanding." "Yes. That's it," Harold chimed in, a flicker of realization igniting his features. "When we allow bitter thoughts to linger, we create division among us. Instead, if we speak life into one another, we build our fortress of love." A warm ripple of agreement swept through the crowd, and Mary smiled, feeling their hearts unite in purpose. "Let us now share our hopes and our fears. When we voice what burdens us, we can transform the dark shadows into partners of light." As they began to speak, stories of worry and doubt emerged from the depths of their hearts. Each testimony was woven with threads of vulnerability, but beneath the weight of their struggles glowed unwavering faith. "I fear for my children," a mother confessed, her voice trembling. "The world seems ever more dangerous, and I feel powerless." "Do not fear, sister," came another voice. "Just as the Lord has been our refuge, let us be that for one another. Together, we can guide their hearts to seek the light." As they shared, Mary sensed the atmosphere growing more potent. The air seemed to crackle with divine energy as understanding blossomed among them. They were not isolated, they stood as one under the banner of grace. Suddenly, the chapel bell chimed, its notes resonating through the air, each tone invoking hope and powerful expectation. It rang out a message of encouragement, cohesive and righteous. "Today, let us pledge to carry one another, to uplift and strengthen our spirits as a family," Mary declared, her voice rising. "Let this be a day of commitment, where we promise to choose love each time fear attempts to take root." In that sacred moment, a collective breath was drawn, their hearts intertwined, filled with a passion that surged like a river. Eyes shined brightly, aligned with a mission to be beacons of hope. But as they prayed together at the altar, Mary felt a heaviness pressing in, a whisper of doubt that stirred within her. What truly lay ahead? What shadows lurked beyond their newfound unity? The villagers sensed it too, a quiet pulse of tension, as if the earth was holding its breath. With the promise of trials looming, they knelt deeper in prayer, eager for the next divine unveiling. What test would the devil bring? Would their love endure when faced with the raging storms yet to come? The answers awaited, veiled in the unfolding mystery. The chapel fell silent, save for the soft rustling of garments as the villagers knelt with reverence. Each heart beat in unison, a sacred reminder that they were bound not only by love, but also by an earnest desire for guidance amid uncertainty. Mary gazed at her friends, sensing their collective yearning for strength. "Dear ones," she whispered, her voice barely higher than the breath of wind that danced through the open door. "In moments of darkness, the light of Christ shines brightest. Let us invite His presence into our troubled hearts. Let us seek His wisdom to illuminate our fears." With bowed heads, they closed their eyes and breathed deeply, breathing out the anxiety that had begun to creep in like shadows. Then, in a wondrous moment, a warm glow enveloped the room. It felt as though the chapel itself was alive, breathing with the spirit that united them. Suddenly, a voice seemed to rise from their depths, echoing through the silence. "Fear not, for I am with you. I have come to reveal the paths of promise, and to shield you from the traps set by the enemy." The villagers gasped, a chill racing down their spines. It was the unmistakable voice of Jesus, resonating within their hearts. Mary opened her eyes, seeing a radiance almost palpable in the air. "What do we need to know, Lord?" she called out, her heart full of longing for revelation. "The enemy seeks to divide you," Jesus continued, the glow intensifying. "He will sow seeds of distrust, bitterness, and isolation among your ranks. Beware of the lies that lead to despair. They are whispers designed to fracture the beautiful bonds of love you've built." As the truth settled over them, the villagers exchanged glances, their expressions a mixture of fear and resolve. "But, Jesus, how do we protect our unity?" Harold asked, his voice trembling with urgency. Clothe yourselves in compassion, he replied. Nurture one another's spirits with forgiveness and understanding. Don't let pride or resentment cloud your hearts. Instead, lift each other up, even in the darkest moments. Remember, the same grace you have received must flow from you to others. A soothing balm flooded the room as these words washed over them. Mary felt the truth settle into her spirit like a warm embrace. Thank you, Jesus, for this precious wisdom. The bell chimed again, a gentle reminder, its tones wrapped around them like a sacred promise. I have entrusted you, my beloveds, with love. Engage your hearts in prayer, for it is the lifeline to withstand the trials ahead. As the attendees began to respond fervently, they invoked the name of Jesus, their voices a beautiful tapestry of devotion. Each prayer rose like fragrant incense, intertwining with the divine presence. Yet Mary felt a flicker of unease within her, a question that lingered at the edge of her understanding. But what if we falter? What if we fail to uphold this love when faced with the fiercest storms? The moment hung heavily in the air, tension gathering once more. They exchanged glances, unvoiced worries hovering among them. Each heart went silent, pondering the breaking waves of uncertainty that laid ahead. Then, with almost a whispered sigh, the voice of Jesus echoed once more, "It is not in your strength alone that you stand, but in the strength born of our love, a love that overcomes all fear." With renewed purpose igniting their spirits, the villagers slowly stood together, encircling the chapel with hands clasped in solidarity. In that circle, a vibrant energy pulsed, weaving them together as a collective shield. "Let us walk this path together," Mary proclaimed. "Let love be the compass we follow through the trials that loom over us." As their voices melded in powerful amens, a palpable force of divine hope surged through them. And yet, even as they prayed in unison, the weight of mystery thickened. Would their resolve hold when the enemy challenged their newfound strength? Would love be enough to withstand the unseen forces that sought to unravel them? Those questions hung in the air, a promise waiting to be fulfilled as they prepared for the trials yet to come. What revelations lay ahead? And how would their faith be tested in the face of such overwhelming odds? As the final echoes of their prayers subsided, the atmosphere in the chapel shifted. A gentle breeze swept through, stirring the flames of their flickering candles. Mary stood in the circle, the glow of hope warming her heart. She knew they were embarking on an extraordinary journey, a journey marked by faith and the unseen. "Let us not forget," she urged, her voice steady yet filled with urgency. "We must carry each other through this darkness. We are stronger together, our hearts woven into one tapestry of faith." The villagers nodded in agreement, their spirits lifted. But just as Mary felt the swell of their collective resolve, a shadow flickered at the edge of her vision. A sudden chill followed, an almost imperceptible tug at the corners of her mind. Uncertainty crept in. Mary shook her head, attempting to banish the darkness, yet, a deep warning pulsed in her spirit. "It is time to prepare," said a voice, not of their own but a familiar echo from the divine, "for dark days challenge even the strongest of hearts. Not just on your path, but within." There was a weight to the words that gripped them all. Suddenly, the chapel's atmosphere thickened, a sacred moment dawning upon them. As they stood in silence, the villagers felt the presence swirl around them, an invisible whisper urging them to listen closely. "Each of you carries a treasure," the voice continued, filling the chapel with warmth. "Yet, the enemy knows your weaknesses, the fears that can turn your hearts against one another. He will lure you into traps of doubt and fear, disguising himself with flickers of truth tainted by lies." Terror filled the eyes of a few villagers, while others exchanged uneasy glances. "What should we do?" asked Ruth, her voice trembling with fear. "How can we avoid falling into these traps?" "Equip yourselves with prayer," echoed the voice. "Pray as if you are shielding your very souls. Faith is your armor, but love must be the sword. Cut through the despair with acts of compassion." The villagers felt the surge of energy radiating from the message, each heart pounding in agreement. They moved as one, stepping closer to the altar, eager to commit their spirits to the journey ahead. Let us share our burdens, Mary encouraged, her voice resonating like a bell. Let us speak our fears aloud. It is when we voice these shadows that they lose their grip on us. One by one, they shared their struggles. Samuel voiced his fear of loneliness, while Mary shared the anxiety that snaked around her heart like vines. Each confession echoed through the chapel, transforming their worries into bricks of resolve. As the confessions transformed into collective prayers, a dappled light began to shimmer across the chapel. The air felt alive with energy, and a soft brightness encompassed them. It was a moment of divine connection, the presence of Christ wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. Your words have woven a shield, said the celestial voice, now stronger. But remember, the enemy ploys his traps subtly. He will use your own strengths against you. Trust in one another, for you carry the strength of your brother and sister in this fight. Murmurs of understanding rippled through the congregation. They felt the magnitude of the challenge laid before them. Together, they would face what lay ahead. Yet, despite their determination, an undercurrent of fear lingered. Signs of the trials they would face began to paint themselves in vivid colors in their minds. Would they be able to maintain their unity? The whispered warnings danced like fireflies in the air, leaving an indelible mark of anticipation. As the last words hung in the air, a silence fell over them, a pregnant pause filled not with dread but anticipation of the unknown. What is the enemy's most deadly trap? Mary thought, even as their prayers filled the air with fiery passion once again. Could they truly harness the power of love and prayer to stand firm against whatever lay in their path? The unresolved tension lingered, a divine promise waiting to unfold. What deeper revelations would God reveal as they embraced the journey? And would their faith ignite in the flames of the trials yet to come? As the congregation stood in hushed reverence, caught in the breath of divine anticipation, the flickering candlelights flickered with an urgency that mirrored the weight on their hearts. Mary felt a shift within her, a stirring that begged for expression. She was the vessel of their hopes, and she needed to act on the trust that enveloped them. Together, we have forged a shield of prayers, she declared, her voice rising above the whispers, but we must now prepare for the fight ahead. Each of us holds a spark of God's love. Let us not let that flicker dim. With her words, the air seemed to shimmer with excitement, igniting a collective resolve. The villagers took their places, forming a circle once again. Mary took her place at the center, where the light met her prayerful spirit in a glorious embrace. Draw close, my friends, she said. Let us call upon the Lord and ask for his guidance. What is the right path amidst these shadows? Hands grasped tightly around one another, their unity felt like an electrifying current through the candlelit room. Each face reflected an honest desire to seek divine enlightenment, their fears intertwined in the grip of love and faith. They began to pray aloud, each voice layering over the other, forming a rich tapestry of yearning. Lord, reveal to us the truth, cried Samuel, his eyes shining with sincerity. Show us how to stand firm. Ruth joined him, tears cascading down her cheeks. We long for your light, Lord. We need it to shine brightly in our hearts. With every prayer, the warmth of the chapel enveloped them like a tender embrace. Tension mixed with fervor, as a surge of faith buzzed through the circle. Mary felt tears of joy fill her own eyes, witnessing the raw honesty and passion spilling forth. Suddenly, a glimmering light burst forth from the chapel's center, illuminating every corner. The villagers gasped, momentarily blinded but instinctively drawn toward the brilliance. The voice of the divine resonated once more, filling the space with a clarity that pierced through their apprehensions. Beloved, the strongest trap the enemy crafts is the illusion of isolation, it declared, the sound reverberating like waves crashing against the shores of their hearts. Pure love will always be the way out. Remember that becomes your mission. Your love will shield you from despair. Emboldened by the revelation, the villagers nodded deeply, their spirits intertwined even tighter. Mary could feel God's strength rising within her, urging them to lean into this truth, to make it the cornerstone of their journey. What do we need to strengthen our love? A voice piped up from the back. It was young Timothy, eyes wide and filled with wonder. "Seek the needs of each other," the voice answered gently. "Listen deeply, for in each heart lies the answer you seek. Compassion opens hearts and seals wounds." Mary felt a spark ignite in her chest. She could see it now. The challenge was not just standing united against external forces. Instead, it was also embracing vulnerability among themselves, extending compassion, creating a shield woven from the tender fibers of love. "With every kindness you offer," the voice continued, "you disarm the lies from the enemy's very tongue. You become warriors armed with light, casting deceptive shadows away." The room filled with murmurs of resolution. Hope danced in the air like fireflies in twilight. Mary looked around at her fellow villagers, their faces glowing with newfound determination. They lifted their voices again, stronger, bolder, affirming that together, they would conquer this darkness, not just for themselves but for all who might falter. But deep within Mary, a question lingered, a whisper of uncertainty in the depths of her spirit. What do they need to see beyond this revelation? And as the prayers soared higher, a shroud of curiosity swept over her. Would they truly grasp the profound power of love disguised as vulnerability? The light pulsed, urging them forward, even as new shadows began to loom. What tests would they face, and how would they navigate the delicate balance of faith and unity in the days to come? In the days following the remarkable gathering, the village buzzed with an excitement that was tangible. Each morning brought whispers of hope, each evening, renewed prayers. Love had become their beacon, a glow that warmed their hearts even as outside forces whispered doubt and despair. Mary, energized by the revelations, dedicated her time to helping those around her. She visited homes, listened to stories, and found comfort in both tears and laughter. Her heart softened with each encounter, understanding that her purpose lay not only in protecting the village but also in nurturing its spirit. As she walked through the sun-drenched meadows, she encountered Ruth, who sat on a weathered log, gazing into the distance. Mary approached her, noting the melancholic shadow that lingered in her eyes. "Ruth, what weighs you down, dear sister?" Mary asked gently, kneeling beside her. Ruth turned, surprise flickering in her tear-filled eyes. "I feel the light, Mary, I really do. But there is fear and ache within me that I cannot shake. What if we fail? What if our love isn't enough against the darkness?" Mary felt her own heart squeeze as she searched for words. "Love is often tested, my friend. But remember what we learned. Isolation is the enemy's work. In our vulnerability, we are stronger. Lean on each other. Your fear is a thread in our united cloth." Ruth nodded, the sunlight glinting off her tears, a gentle glimmer of hope mixed with sorrow. Mary took her hand, squeezing it tightly. "Together, we will shield our hearts, and when one falters, the other will carry them." The warmth of their connection began to dispel the shadows that loomed. Days rolled on, and as the village prepared for the upcoming celebration of unity, Mary felt an urgency building. The voice from that night in the chapel echoed in her heart. The enemy was lurking, waiting for a moment of weakness. Could they remain united when the trials arose? That very question was answered when Caleb, a beloved member of the community, went missing. Panic spread like wildfire. They had all felt a connection to Caleb, a vibrant spirit, always bringing laughter and light. His absence was a direct blow to their fragile faith. Mary gathered the villagers once more. "Listen, friends. Caleb needs us now. Let us call upon the love that binds us. We must not dwell in fear but trust in our collective strength." As they formed another prayer circle, she sensed a wave of resistance. Murmurs of doubt surfaced, creeping into the circle. What if he is too far? What if he doesn't want to be found? "No." Mary interjected. "These questions bind us like chains. Let love be our sword. Love can reach beyond what our eyes cannot see." She urged them to close their eyes, to envision Caleb enveloped in their love, a force that could pierce through his despair like sunbeams through the clouds. With every breath, The room began to vibrate with energy, faith intertwining as voices rose higher. Individual prayers blended into a chorus, a storm of hope calling out, searching for Caleb. The air thickened, charged with divine presence as the villagers unleashed their longing. Mary opened her eyes, and the glimmering light enveloped the group once again. Remember, this love we've cultivated will bring him back. Together, we hold the power of the unseen. Pray with conviction, knowing that our unity shall break every chain. As prayers surged forward, Mary felt the tremor of something profound about to unfold. They were on the brink of a revelation, a new expression of faith beyond anything they had witnessed. What miracle awaited on the horizon, and could their love truly bring Caleb back? Would they answer the greater call to unity, even as new shadows threatened to emerge? The questions lingered in the air, heavy with expectancy. The hours melted into days, each one heavy with hope and worry, as the village clung to the fervent prayers that rose like incense toward the heavens. The air thick with anticipation, faith, and an unspoken fear was almost tangible. Mary felt as if every heart beat in unison, a drum of love echoing against the darkness. As evening descended one particularly heavy day, the soft flicker of lanterns illuminated the faces of tired villagers gathered near the chapel. Mary stood before them, her heart a whirlwind of emotions. With Caleb still missing, they needed to reaffirm their faith and strength in humility. "Let us gather our strength," she began, her voice steady yet warm, "and remember all that we love about Caleb. Recall those moments of laughter, the shared stories, and the trials we've been through together." She encouraged them to close their eyes. Slowly, the world around them faded, replaced by memories that floated like glowing orbs. In this moment, she continued, "Let us visualize Caleb, surrounded by the very love we share. Let that love guide him home." A gentle breeze rustled through the meadow, as if the earth itself meditated upon their prayers. Sudden silence surrounded them, broken only by the sound of rustling leaves, and somewhere deep within, Mary sensed a stirring not just of the wind, but of something divine. Then, a single voice pierced the quiet. "Mary, look." It was Ruth, her face filled with astonishment. Mary turned, her heart racing at the sight unfolding. The air shimmered as if the fabric of reality had shifted. In that moment, a brilliant light streamed from the horizon, a band of glowing radiance that seemed to ripple like waves dancing across water. Some villagers gasped, others fell to their knees, blurring the lines between fear and awe. Could it be? Mary whispered, the possibility crashing over her like a wave. In the heart of the light, a figure began to emerge. As he stepped forth, she saw the unmistakable laughter in his eyes, the familiar warmth of Caleb. Relief danced inside her chest, spreading like a wildfire of joy. The villagers erupted in shouts of celebration, tears falling unabashedly as Caleb returned, bathed in the soft glow of divine grace. "Mary!" Caleb called, joy echoing in his voice. He looked around at all the faces. "I felt your love. It guided me through the shadows, beyond despair into light. I was lost and found all at once." His words struck deep in the hearts of the villagers, each surrendering to the waves of emotion that washed over them. "Tell us," Mary urged, her voice barely a whisper, "what happened? Where were you?" Caleb's face changed, an eerie seriousness shadowing his joy. "I saw many things. I felt the presence of darkness intent on tearing us apart. The enemy seeks to sap our strength by sowing seeds of doubt and fear." He paused, locking eyes with Mary. "But there is hope. God has shown me the power of unity. Love can dispel darkness when we lean on each other." Hearing this, whispers of agreement rippled through the crowd, a braiding of faith that wound tighter with every shared breath. Yet, Mary felt another wave of urgency swell as Caleb continued. "They will come for us again, my friends. We must stand watch, united, and shield ourselves in this love. It is the only way to weather the storms ahead." The atmosphere tangibly shifted, a formidable weight settling over them as Mary remembered the urgency she had felt. The enemy was not far behind. The shadows that threatened to unravel their hope had lurked in their hearts all along. Could they truly protect what they loved? The time for complacency was over. They needed to unite in action, not just in prayer. Yet within all this, another question emerged, haunting and beautiful: what would it take for the love they had forged to become an unwavering shield against the darkness? As Caleb's words sank in, the flickering lanterns danced around them in agreement, each light holding a promise. They sensed that a greater challenge loomed ahead. United, they would pave a way through what was coming, but at what cost? As the joyous celebration of Caleb's return echoed through the village, a profound sense of duty weighed on Mary's heart. Unity brought them peace, hope intertwined with a spirit of love. But the warning still lingered. The enemy was cunning, waiting to exploit even the smallest fractures within their community. That evening, the villagers gathered under the starlit sky, each face illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns. They formed a circle around a fire, its warmth wrapping around them like a hug. Mary stood before them, the firelight dancing in her eyes. "Beloved friends," she began, the urgency in her voice commanding attention, "we've seen miracles unfold, but we must not grow complacent. The enemy is lurking, waiting for any chance to sow seeds of doubt within our hearts." A hush fell over them, tension seeping into the air like mist. Mary continued, "Caleb has returned with a message. Love is our greatest strength, but to truly embody that love, we must actively guard it. Can we commit to standing together in both prayer and action as we face the trials ahead?" A chorus of affirmations rose from the crowd, their spirits ignited with purpose. Together, they envisioned a fortress bound in love and unity, a haven that even the most insidious doubts could not penetrate. "Let us begin by addressing the struggles among us," Mary urged. "For it is in the light of confession that shadows turn to dust. No fear can hold a claim when brought into the open." One by one, they shared their anxieties and burdens, weaving their vulnerabilities into a tapestry of collective healing. "I fear I cannot reach my family," whispered a young man, his voice trembling. "What if they shun me for my faith?" "Do not fear, brother," Ruth responded, her voice steady. "We will walk with you. Together, we will show them the love that binds us, illuminating your path." With every confession, each heart opened wider, revealing the threads of fear and doubt still hidden beneath their surface. They spoke of past failures and future uncertainties, but as they voiced these fears, the collective love became a balm that soothed their restless spirits. Mary felt empowered, the synergy among them igniting a divine spark. "Let us take what we've shared and turn it into action," she declared. "Let us create a plan, a movement of unity that will not yield to darkness. Let us spread the message of love, our battle cry." The villagers rallied, brainstorming ways to reach beyond their community, to share their mesmerizing story of faith. "We can invite others into our circle," shouted one excited villager. "Let them feel this love for themselves. We can hold gatherings, host dialogues, build bridges of understanding." With each passing moment, their resolve solidified. The vision grew clearer, they would not just pray for deliverance but act as a beacon of hope for others. As night cloaked the village, the stars twinkled above, their glow a reflection of the divine support surrounding them. In that luminous embrace, Mary turned her gaze inward, sensing a wrestling within her spirit. Could they truly maintain this momentum, rising to meet the darkness with unwavering vigilance? Days passed, and as they worked together to foster connections, a ripple of hope spread beyond their borders. They welcomed those struggling with doubt, offering loving hearts and open arms. Yet, amid this golden glow, Mary's spirit remained restless. Then, one fateful afternoon, whispers of discontent surfaced. Reports began arriving of a shadowy figure spotted near the outskirts of the village, a being who sowed discord among the community, whispering seeds of doubt. Mary gathered the villagers, her heart pounding with dread. "There is a storm brewing," she proclaimed, urgency seeping into her voice. "We must confront the doubts threatening to tear us apart. Together, we stand as a fortress." Our love is stronger than any spectral force attempting to divide us. With a collective breath, they stepped out into the encroaching dusk, howling winds stirring around them. Determined, they marched toward the edge of their village, where the whispers of doubt spiraled like creeping vines. "Let love be our guide," Mary called out, the strength of their united purpose invigorating her spirit. "We will face whatever darkness comes, together." As they reached the outskirts, a figure emerged from the shadows, a presence both eerie yet familiar. It was an embodiment of doubt, taunting them with their past failures and fears. The congregation hesitated, faces painted with uncertainty. But Mary stepped forward, her heart bold against the palpable fear. "Not today," she shouted. "You have no hold here. Our love is a fortress, and we have built it brick by brick through our prayers and actions." Her voice, a clarion call, resonated through the gathering. Together, they began to pray aloud, declaring their unity against the specter of despair. Each prayer amplified their strength, a symphony of hope crashing down upon the shadows. The figure wavered under the onslaught of love, the darkness melting as they pressed together, unwavering. The echoes of their hope regrowing even stronger. Then, a blinding light surged from their hearts, illuminating the night with a brilliance fueled by their interconnected faith. With a final cry of faith-filled conviction, they banished the specter of doubt, shattering it into a myriad of shimmering fragments. As the glow faded, they stood still in a profound silence, a deep sense of peace washing over them, an unbreakable bond now sealed through their collective triumph. In that moment, Mary understood, love was not merely a sentiment but an act of courageous fidelity. It demanded their hearts, their vulnerability, and their voice. It was the very essence that would carry them through whatever lay ahead, a shield woven from the fabric of shared belief. And as they turned back toward the village, the sun breaking on the horizon, they knew they had struck a mighty blow against the darkness. It wouldn't be the last time they would face trials, but now they carried the conviction of love, stronger than anything that could ever come against them. United, they would rise again. A community bonded by divine purpose, ready for whatever revelation awaited in their journey ahead. Now, my dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next powerful stories of faith that will uplift your spirit. And while you're at it, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Our mission depends on it. We want to hear from you. Comment below your thoughts and testimonies about this beautiful conclusion. Your voice matters in this community. Don't wait even one more second to share this transformative message with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. Together, let us spread the light.